seeing a stack of files taller than you, you're faced with the fact that maybe your systems aren't as good as you thought they were.
They already value what you have done for them. They're tried and proven. They've spent money with you before, and they're the clients that are easy to get a hold of.
My fear is not that they're not going to remember me. My fear is that they're going to be like, how come you haven't called sooner?
We have this habit of creating all of the reasons why not. Embrace the fear and live through something that potentially may not ever happen.
The value is not in those systems or the tech or the plugins. The value is in delivering experiences for the client. Hey, difference makers, welcome back to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast. This week, we're joined by Steve Saporito in Melbourne, Australia, and Jeanine McLeod in Tampa, Florida. So on this episode, we're going to talk about things being tall, I think, and as tall as certain people. I don't know. I had no idea what they were talking about before when, we jumped on. It's like, what are you on about? Files being tall as people? Like, what's going on? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, okay. So we had something crazy happen in the studio this week. And I was telling Steve, I think this would be a great lead in for a podcast because it's very visual that we could talk about, even though people are listening to this on audio, right? So earlier this week, I had my Betsy, who is my studio manager, do a project, right? We were running out of room in our filing cabinet for new clients to be put in. And so I'm like, all right, let's go through and we'll pull the files.
You put your clients in a file?
We put our clients in a file. Yeah, we shoved them into a little drawer. So I said, let's pull out all the files that of people who haven't come in since 2020, right? And let's see how many there are. It should make more room for new clients to go in and such like that. I was thinking it wouldn't be that many. I mean, I think, like, that's one of the things we pride ourselves in is the fact that our clients come back year over year, the lifetime value of a client. We love on our clients a lot. They come in all the time. And she pulled out these file folders, Steve and Jono, and the stack was taller than me. Like, she had them going against the wall and against the shelf thing so they wouldn't fall over. And I walked in, I'm like, what is this? And she's like, that's all the clients who haven't been in since 2020. And I was shocked. I mean, I was shocked. I was a little embarrassed. I was a little like befuddled. I'm like, how is this even possible?
You were looking for 5 inches of space, weren't you?
Yeah. I was thinking, we might clear up a little bit of space. People who have moved, people whose kids are older now, whatever. But when I saw this visual stack, and it's interesting because I think a lot of times we are so used to running digital reports, right? And so we might run a report in our CRM of clients who, haven't had an invoice in, 2 years. And you get an Excel spreadsheet and yeah, okay. But let me tell you, seeing a stack of files taller than you, you're faced with the fact that maybe your systems aren't as good as you thought they were. And so, I mean, that's a lot of people who haven't been back to the studio. And I'm like staring at it and I'm like, paying a lot of money for Facebook to bring me in new clients. Maybe I should just have a gander at all these people who haven't been in 5 years.
Almost as bad as remembering your top sale and making that your average?
Yeah, almost as bad as that. Yeah.
Wow. So what does that say to you?
Well, it tells me that my systems clearly aren't as good as I thought they were. And I think it's interesting. I think that we get so focused on bringing in new clients that we often tend to take the eye off of the clients that are already ours. Yeah.
Which is why I love the conversion sheet. We've had a few people start using it. Well, we've implemented it, a while ago, but recently we've had some new members come in and they've implemented it. And they're like, we always forget about calling our VIP clients, actually, at first they asked, what's a VIP client? And of course, it's those people that have been great clients and have spent money with you. And it's about inviting them back. And now that they've implemented the call conversion sheet and they've started to focus on it, they're booking 2, 3, sometimes 4 clients a week just from using that as a lead source. And the beauty, and you know this, Jeanine, because, you pride yourself that this is,
This is what we do. And yet, and in fact, clearly I missed all these people.
But they're already educated. They already value value what you have done for them. They're tried and proven. They've spent money with you before. And they're the clients that are easy to get a hold of. Normally, you don't have to chase them for 4 weeks, right? You don't need 10 calls to get to them. They will normally return your call or pick up. And so it's a quick turnaround. So I think it gets back to understanding, I always bang on about this, the 3 ways to grow a business. The first way is to get more clients. And we have to do that. We always need to get new clients. We need that new fresh supply of clients. That'll never end. But there are 3 ways. And I feel as though most people are only focused on the first way, which is, trying to get new clients rather than trying to get their clients to use you more often and to get them back again and again. Having that system where you are reaching out to them, you are in touch with what's happening in their lives, and you're reaching out and giving them a reason to come back. So that's important too. And obviously the third one is increasing your average sale. And that's the biggest lever, getting your systems down to increase your average sale. Really, that's the biggest lever. But interesting that you said that, because it seems to be the focus of quite a few members of reaching out to their VIP clients. We're not going to call them past clients, because they should be your current clients. They should be part of your client base. And every other business has clients come back. I remember talking to somebody a few weeks ago, and they said that they were using the sheet, and they called somebody from 6 years ago. And I think people's biggest fear is they're not going to remember me. What am I going to say to them? But this client was so excited to hear from her and could not stop telling her about what's happening in the family, that her son is now, at university, but he's decided recently that he's going to come back and work on the farm. And she was just so, 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 so excited to hear from her photographer. And of course, convinced herself that she needed another experience because her son's coming back, her daughter's now working, they're about to move out of home, she's met a guy, the daughter's met a guy. And so it's all become important again. And often people say, well, what am I going to say? Am I just going to pitch a new shoot? But the reality is, once people start talking about their families, they realize that now is a good time.
So it's interesting you said that the fear that they wouldn't know who you were is a common fear. I've also heard, and I've experienced this anxiety myself, that you're going to be embarrassed because you haven't reached out to them yet. Right? So you're looking through that list and you're like, oh my God, like I'm facing this, like with this stack of folders. I'm like, wow, like there's some people in here and I'm embarrassed that I haven't physically talked to them in 6 years.
Can we talk about that? Like, there's this stack that is taller than you.
Mm.
How is that not translating to excitement of so much opportunity of people that you haven't got back to yet?
It is excitement. But I'm telling you, there's also I'm calling you, Steve, and I haven't talked to you in 5 years. And it's a little embarrassing. Like, oh my gosh, Steve, I can't believe I haven't reached out to you. And my fear is not that they're not going to remember me. My fear is that they're going to be like, how come you haven't called sooner?
But I think that a lot of people are just going to be grateful and so happy to hear from you. I don't think that you should let that stop you. I mean, if that example of 6 years ago, the client was so excited. I mean, the first thing you need to say is, I've just realized it's been 5 years, 6 years, 10 years.
Yeah, the fact that 2020 is now 6 years ago is mind boggling, because I still think of it as it's when we all met, right? I still think of it as yesterday, and it's half a freaking decade, more than half a decade. Yeah.
So I think, I don't think you should have that fear at all. And I think once you've made your first view, you should find that fear is probably something that is made up in your head.
Yeah. As are most fears, right? And I mean, I think that could go to any fear that people who are listening to this podcast might have about picking up that phone. That fear is in their own head. It's not on the other end of the phone line.
We have this habit of creating all of the reasons why not, right? The minute we're going to try something new, all of the scenarios that could potentially go wrong, we need to run that through our system to embrace the fear and live through something that potentially may not ever happen.
Right. Yeah.
So why are we torturing ourselves?
Right.
Doesn't make sense. Does it?
Does not make sense.
But we know that, it's human nature to do that.
So, Steve, like, how would you systemize this? Like, if you were advising or coaching a client on they're faced with this, right? Well, one, going forward, making sure it doesn't happen ever again, that you end up with a 6-year gap. But going backwards, like you got to put a plan in place. Otherwise, you're going to sit and stare at your to-do list every day and it's not going to be systemized. You're going to randomly pick people, right? So you like if and I find that if I don't have a system in place, that's why I love the call conversion sheet, right? Because it gives us a daily system of what needs to happen and a daily reminder of what should be happening. So if you don't have a system in place, you're not going to do it. You're end up going to do the shiny object. You're going to do the busy tasks. You're going to do I think we said this earlier, right? Busyness is the new currency. So we'll end up doing busy tasks. We'll end up doing what's challenging and intriguing. I have to battle this, right? Like I've even talked to Jonathan, like, I want to test a new landing page. And here I am doing it myself, right? Like I want to test this. I really should take that time and call 10 more clients, right? I probably would convert more than testing this new, but I'll end up doing both. But it's that concept of, it's like exciting to test new. Maybe that's because I have a marketing mind. So I'm not sure if I'm just speaking for myself or other people find it exciting, or if they use it as a procrastination method, not to have to pick up the phone.
See, I'd rather pick up the phone than create some new marketing.
Yeah, you would rather pick up the phone than create new marketing. I think a lot of people try and automate their marketing to the point that they don't have to pick up the phone. So I think you have a lot of that going on. But what would you advise our listeners and clients on systems, right? Like you have to have a system in place or you'll end up with this. I have systems in place and I still have a stack taller than me of people that haven't come in since 2020. So what is your advice on that?
Well, I think as of now, as of today, as clients are coming in and you begin to identify those perfect clients that you want to work with again, that are going to be great, you have to tag them.
Yeah, I got to flag them somehow.
Yeah. So, and that's why the CRMs are so incredible. In the engine, you can put a tag on it, a tag on them. But I used to use multiple tags. So if I knew that they mentioned to me something about Mother's Day, right? Maybe their sister's coming. So I would have Mother's Day general and Mother's Day for that year, because on the lead up, Mother's Day is over, right? And now we're into the next Mother's Day. On the lead up to the next Mother's Day, I would then, have one for each year. And then as people were telling me even things for Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or whatever it is, they would get a tag because they're a VIP client. We want to work with them again. Potentially there could be a business partnership or alliance. So there'd be another tag. And then if they needed to be contacted for the next Mother's Day, then they would be tagged for that. And then that way it's all organized. But I think the biggest thing, Jeanine, is having that call conversion sheet. So that way it's always top of mind. Because if it's there in front of you, then you know that every day what's supposed to happen is that you're meant to be reaching out to your VIP clients. And I think what a lot of people haven't done is set themselves goals around how many VIP clients are you going to excite enough to want to book, who will want to come in and have another experience with you. Sometimes it just sits on the page, but we've got our blinkers on and we're so focused on new clients that we have become, what do you call it when you see, what's it called when you see something so often that you then begin to ignore it? Disassociated maybe? You just become desensitized. You become desensitized to actually seeing that column anymore. But you have to set your goals for that daily task and look at each of those columns as a daily goal for you to achieve. And I think that's going to help a lot, because then it's top of mind and then it's something that you're doing daily, and then you're not left with a stack of files that is taller than you.
It's a visual. I know everybody listening can have an idea of this visual. Jonathan, you've been very quiet. You have to have an idea or a thought on this topic.
No, I've just been reflecting, listening.
Reflecting and listening. He's a deep thinker, our Jonathan.
Yeah, you're in deep thought.
But I think this is also what makes our business valuable, Jeanine, where when we have loyal clients and we have that, and I'm putting my accountant's hat on, when you have a certain percentage of return clients that are coming back to you every year, it's pretty much guaranteed income. And that's what makes your business valuable, makes it attractive to, if ever you did want to sell your business, that increases the value of your business because you have some level of brand and some level of, repeat business where it's increasing the value of your business. So that's important to build on as well.
What's really fascinating to me as well, though, is like we got to be thinking of. You mentioned like selling business. What's actually fascinating in today's world is when you look at the data, less and less businesses are being sold, and one of the reasons why is AI. So AI is actually taking the power away from building big companies or like even small companies that can be sold and empowering the creative entrepreneur to do more with less. So I think even like as you approach this mindset, I think you got to approach the mindset of maximizing value for yourself and realizing that, what companies are now moving towards is not hiring. It's not adding people. It's actually the opposite. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to find ways. They're not trying to, they are finding ways to, use AI to work on their processes and their experiences in their company to reduce the need of people. And the reason why is so that they can focus on doing the more valuable tasks, like we talk about, like with interacting with clients, calling current VIP clients. And I think it's important that, we realize that this notion, we see it all the time, that, you don't have a real business unless you have staff. That's a whole lot of codswallop. And I think it's a way of boosting, your own ego.
Do people believe that though, Jono? That you don't have a business unless you have?
100%. I can think of 5 photographers who've all been members who seek validation from the number of staff they have. So if you're listening, listen. And I think what makes a business is how much money you make, not how many people you employ.
Well, profit more so even than money you make.
Yeah. So I think, what's important to note with this, how much money you get to keep. What's the bottom line? Revenue is vanity. And that's another point, like on this, like there's so much opportunity for now, especially with AI, for people to, free up their time from the things that don't bring or add value and to call those clients.
You're adding to Janine's embarrassment, There's no excuse, Jeanine.
There's no excuse. I know now I'm like thinking of an AI thing I can design to run to scrape my database to figure out who I should be calling.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thought and the thinking that we need to be doing, because the most expensive part of any business is people. And we got to be thinking about how can we like give our clients the best possible experience by focusing our time on the highest value tasks, the client facing tasks, and using automation and AI. Because you asked about how can I automate this? How can I systemize this? Right. So that's how I'd be thinking. I'd be looking at, okay, how can I use AI to actually help me with this? Because the value is not in those, the systems or the tech or the plugins or all these fun APIs and integrations. There's no value in that. The value is in delivering experiences for the client and all the client facing stuff, the marketing, the sales. Marketing and sales are what drive any business. But yeah, so I'd be thinking systemization, thinking of that. Like, how can I leverage AI to do what most of the bigger companies have started doing? You look at McKinsey, they're like the biggest consulting company in the world. They consult with the best of the best, the Forbes 500 list or whatever it is called these days. And for them as a company, they say, okay, we have 60,000 employees, 40,000 are human and 20,000 are AI agents. And they focus on that, on introducing that. And I think that there's a huge opportunity for solopreneurs, for duopreneurs, for smaller teams to do that, because there's less politics, there's less friction, there's less, it's not a big of a web. Like imagine them 60,000, 40,000 humans to try and, work through that. Whereas if you have yourself or, a husband or wife or partner, or maybe you have, a couple of people on the books, way easier, right? So when you're thinking of systemizing, you got to think of how you can leverage modern technology to help you do that.
There's less resistance too. So Jeanine, you mentioned something that was intrigued me when you said, I should get AI to scrape my database and give me a list of people. If you could do that and the AI said, call these people are hot, how would you approach that? Would you be confident?
I would be confident. I would call those people. AI told me to, Steve.
Right. So if that was the case and it said, here's some these are the hot ones for today, make these 4 phone calls, would you do it?
Yes.
With what sort of energy would you do it? Because we know that when we believe in something, and we know that if we believe, this is going to be a great client, or these leads, which, we don't really call them leads, they're potential clients, but these clients are going to be awesome. It's amazing how when we approach those calls with that mindset, how we create that and make that happen. So interesting when you said that. That's what sort of flashed in my mind. Anyway, I had to share that because I honestly think that if AI did tell you to do that, you would just kill those calls.
Yeah, I agree, and it ties into what I was gonna crush those calls. Yeah, I heard I listen and read so many things. I'm not sure where I heard it or read it this morning, and it could have even been Jonathan telling me. So Jonathan, if this was you, take the credit. But I had heard something that was, if you look at your processes, your systems as human at the beginning, like your human touch at the beginning, AI takes and does all of the middle, and then your human touch is at the end. So like like you were saying, Jonathan, like all of our efforts should be on that human facing, creating a better experience for our clients, and then using AI to get rid of all that middle stuff. So I don't have to spend a week going through those files manually, right? Like I can have tools in place to do that for me, so I can spend the time making more phone calls, right? So it's the human at the front creating, the human at the end with the interaction, and using the tools that we now have in the middle. Was that you, John, or did I hear that on a podcast somewhere? I don't remember where.
No, you probably heard it on the podcast.
Okay. But I think it's brilliant. It fits right in with what we're talking about, because if we can systemize the middle, then we can create the idea of the calls, and we can make more phone calls, and we can connect with more clients, and then in the end create more difference making experiences for the people we photograph. That's what it's all about.
So now you need to make sure your notes are all intact, and so that way when the AI is scraping all the notes that you've made, picking all the best clients and picking up on the fact that they mentioned somebody who was going to come and visit in a certain month, so there's now scheduling that for you. Yeah, that'd be so cool. So cool.
And now as we wrap this podcast into an ending, clearly once you call these clients and get them back into your studio, you need to deliver them a different maker type experience, right, Jonathan?
Look at you trying to tee me up. It's a bit wet out there for golf. A bit wet outside here for golf. Maybe I need to go to visit Jeanine.
Does rain ever stop an Irishman from playing golf?
100%. Unfortunately.
I've been to the golf courses in Ireland, and there's people in their wellies out there in umbrellas, wet weather gear. They look like.
Yeah. So Jeanine, what you're talking about is, if you're not in the inner circle already, then you're probably crazy, because you should be. So all you need to do is click the apply now button below this video, apply to join the inner circle. We do not let everybody in. So maybe if you are not crazy enough, you won't be allowed in, or maybe if you're too crazy, you won't be allowed in. But regardless,
You have to be the right amount of crazy.
right amount of crazy, click that button below and we will help you to build the business of your dreams.
Exciting. Thanks, everyone. That was a great discussion, Jeanine. Good one.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Time to pick up the phone, Jeanine.
Yeah, time to go pick up the phone. Ring, ring.
See you next week. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.